Hey guys, welcome back to RL Design Innovation. My name's Brian, and I received a lot of emails from folks asking about the layer function within Lightburn, but specifically the sublayer functions. How do you use them, when to use them, and what can you do with them? So today we're going to go through the sublayer function, and I'm going to show you how you can use those sublayer functions to create a template function. At least that's what I call it. So sit back, let's get into Lightburn and have some fun and learn something different.
Okay, I brought up Lightburn 2.0. This is release candidate 4. There's still a lot of testing going on. This still has, we'll call them defects or bugs that are being worked on. And it'll take some time for this to actually get to production and get released out to everybody. But I wanted to do it in here. And the same way we do it in 2.0, we do it in 1.708 or 1.707, same functionality. I'm just going to start off by drawing a rectangle, something like this. Now, if we click over here on the cut layers, I'm going to call this, because I want to make this a template after, I'm going to call this fancy box, or just fancy, okay? Then this layer is my etch layer, the first layer. If I hit open, if I hit OK, hit Alt P, there it is, like always. No big deal, right? Now, if I wanted to do an offset, you can create another layer here and then do an offset. But we're going to do everything right in here. And I'll show you why in a couple of minutes. We're going to hit plus. I'm going to make another layer or another function. I'm going to call this fill. And in here, we'll call it fill. We'll keep everything the same. Hit OK, and you notice it fills. If I hit Alt P and then just go back here, you notice, let me go over here. It first does the etch, and then it does the fill. Pretty cool. On one layer, we have multiple functions. Now, we're going to add another sublayer. Call this offset. And to do an offset, I keep it as a line. And my kerf, which is my offset, I'm going to do 2 millimeters. Okay. Now I hit Alt P. There's the offset if you look at it. Now, this is what's pretty cool. I call this fancy, right? I'm going to do another rectangle. Let me actually move this over, put it right here. I'm going to do another rectangle. We'll say right about there. If you notice, it took on the 3 functions of the etch, the fill, and the offset because I'm keeping it in that layer. If I would have made it a different layer, say red, it wouldn't have that. That's why I say you can build these templates in layers. Okay, so what I normally do after I create my multiple layers like this, and I have different boxes here or to make an object, I highlight them all, and then I group them. Now this is one object. Let's do another object. Let's bring in an eclipse. And if you notice, since I'm on the black layer, it takes on that template function. Now I want to show you something else. Let's do this for a clip art. So I'm going to bring in, say, a Star of David. Put this over here. Now it came in as an image. I want to be able to use this as line art. I brought the image in. I'm going to right click and I'm going to trace image. And I'm going to hit OK. I move this out of the way. Delete the image. Now if you notice, this is line art right now. If you notice, it goes online. Now this is what's pretty cool. I'm going to hit Control C and V. I have 2 of these, right? This is how you could start getting some really cool effects. I'm just going to combine them a little bit to give like a shadow effect. I'm going to remove snap to grids because that's what's causing that issue right there. So I'm going to go to Edit, Settings, go to Units and Grids, Snap to Grid, okay, to Objects. Now I can move it however I like. Now look how you can make a nice border. Okay, but then you can play with it. You can make this smaller and you can make some really cool designs. Let's put it back how it was. I'm going to hit Control Z, Control Z. One more time. There it is right there. Now I'm just going to move it down a little bit and center that right there. Now what I'm going to do is highlight both of them and group them, right? Now I can move it around. That's one object. So if I hit Alt P, look how nice using this multifunction. Let me get rid of the the ellipse over here, put this here. Again, Alt P, and now I created a cross and a Star of David. And the Star of David again was basically, I brought in one, I brought in the clip art. Let's do it again, because so many people want to be able to do this. They find an image somewhere like this guy, just a flat clip art image, but they want to manipulate it. They don't want the background. All you do is right click, you trace, you hit OK, and you drag it, delete that, and now I have this. Now say I didn't want this on this multi-layer function. I'm going to make this a blue layer. Now if I hit Alt P, as you can see, here's the original we brought in, and here is the one using that template function over here, and the cross, of course. Now let's go back into my fancy name. I called Fancy, the fancy template. Again, to review, the first thing I do is etch. The second thing I do is fill. The third thing, offset. But say you wanted to cut these out at the end of the day. So I'm going to add another one, another line. I'm going to call this cut. And from there, I'm going to have my cut. Of course, you adjust the speed and the power to the thickness of the wood, etc. But then my kerf, I'm going to add in here 0.25. So that's 0.25 millimeters. It's on the outside of it. I hit OK, and then it would then cut it out. So you can see we created 4 layers for this template option. Let me move this around. You can see right here. Here's one right here. Move this over here. Move this over here, and then of course we have this guy right here. So if I hit Alt P, which one? Oh, let me move this in here. Let me shrink this a little bit so we don't have that issue. Shrink this a little bit. Whoops. Right there. Make this a little bit smaller. Now let's do this. I'm going to copy this object. I'm going to make that on the blue layer. Go right here. I can grab it. And then I hit Alt P. Look at the difference. This is using the multi-layer function, and this is just using a line. Again, if we wanted to do these top 2 by individual layers, I would have to do 4 different functions to create this. The cut layer, the edging. So you, again, just to review, we etched, we then did a fill, then an offset, and a cut. And what's nice, you name it. So when you're doing, say you're doing different clip art or different cuttings, or you're etching letters, you know, so say we did letters. Let's do that right now. Say we'll call it Brian, right? A-N. Okay, I'm going to move this over here. We're going to make this on the green layer. I'm just going to show you this again. The first, line 1, is, I'm going to call it fill. Okay, put that fill right here. Boom, hit Alt P, Brian. Now what I want to do is give this a little definition. I want the letters just to have more definition. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to add another layer. This is going to be line, and this is going to be etch. Okay, that's green. But say I want to cut this out as one block, so I'm going to do another layer. But first, what I'm going to do, I'll do an ellipse. What the heck? Let's do something cool. Okay, so I made the line this light green, but let's put it so you can really see it. We'll do that so you can see that. Okay, so I did a multi-layer on this, on the letters, a fill, and then an etch to really sharpen those letters, and then I cut it out with the circle on that. So again, we did a couple of things today. We created multiple layers, and let's bring up Fancy again. This included 4 functions within this layer, which I called Fancy, and you saw how when you bring things into that same layer, it takes on that template approach. So think about when you're doing other projects where you have designs coming in and you want to have each design, clip art, word, whatever, have different functions in the laser on that object, such as you want to etch it, you want to fill it, you want to do an offset fill, then you want to cut it, you can use the multi-layer capability to create, like I say, a template approach. I hope you learned something today and that you can take this technique and use it on your future projects. Like always, keep sending me those emails. Thumbs up, subscribe. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.